Dr. Shepherd Samuel is a firm believer that with God, all things are possible. And as her daily affirmation, she regularly speaks into her spirit. 2, and reflects on 2 Timothy 1, verse 7. For God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and sound mind. So if there is something you desire, get it, do it. Do not let fear control your destiny. Use fear as an opportunity to learn, grow, and excel. We have one life. Enjoy today. Be in the moment and cease worrying about tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you so much for inviting me back again. I am so happy to be here. One thing that is very important is as human service professionals, especially when we're in school, it's really good to really focus on what's happening in the community as well as what's happening in our own lives. So many of us enter into human service for a number of reasons. Sometimes it's a desire to help others, and also it could be a desire to understand why people behave in a particular way. The work that we do, it requires us to be knowledgeable of human systems, organizations, and identifications of interventions that will bring about the highest quality of life for those that we serve. These interventions are to help the client become more self-sufficient and enhance their self-efficacy. Teaching the client new skills gives them the ability to believe in themselves and the will to change maladaptive behaviors. And such maladaptive behaviors could include drug use and even self-sabotaging behaviors. Nonetheless, the work can be personally gratifying to see other people improve their conditions, achieve their goals, and just taking that first step towards treatment. However, because we are human beings, we come to the table with a variety of personalities. And the work that we do can become so exhausting and draining that maneuvering these personalities as well as a multitude of systems and carrying very high caseloads, or in this case, we have professors of course we have professors on the screen, high classroom sizes. So we have a lot of students, and, it can make us feel overwhelmed and in fact, sometimes stressed. So some of us may become anxious and may not know that we're anxious. All we know is we have a lot of work to do and not enough time to get it done. So now we're worried about the outcome, and we're even beginning to worry about getting in trouble on the job, or maybe even getting fired, right? Yet, the pandemic did not make it any easier for human service professionals. In fact, it actually, I would say in one area, it expanded the field because of the number of people who are experiencing various types of drug use or mental health conditions, that it's an overwhelming number of people that we need to serve. So we saw a rise in substance abuse. We also saw a rise in anxiety, depression, suicide, and death by COVID. And it was also stated that some people who died from COVID died because of underlying conditions, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and those just to name a few. We also know heart disease, stroke, and some cancers have also been the leading cause of death for people of color for quite some time. And these are some diseases that are actually preventable. So we have the ability to take ownership over our bodies, which include the mind, body, and the spirit. So as you do for your clients, or you will do for your clients, which is to develop a treatment plan, and that's just a fancy way of saying setting goals, right? I impress upon you to do the same for yourself, especially in your personal and your professional life. This is a form of intentional living. Practicing behaviors that are intentional for your well-being and do it so that you can become more productive and also gain an improved sense of self satisfaction. And then you can actually begin to experience life differently and in more of a positive and productive way. So when we look at intentional behavior, it's a form of mindfulness, right? It requires you to be in the moment and only focus on the things that are presently happening rather than you're physically here, but your mind is someplace else, right? So we want to also remove the negative emotions that are in our control. So when we're practicing and working on an intentional lifestyle. So I will begin to share my screen and we can get started from there. Let's see. Okay. All right. So now, Passion to Purpose Consulting is my private practice, and we do these workshops. And this is a slide on intentional behavior, the blueprint for living your best life, honoring your body from a wellness perspective. And as we look at KSAC, the KSAC Club's theme of self-care and nutrition, we also want to understand that the benefits of intentional behavior falls in line with self-care and also, your nutritional facts, right? So when you are intentionally living, these are some of the benefits. Life is more productive and satisfying, meaning that you're not worried on a constant basis, right? Because you're prepared. You prepared for things to happen in a certain way. You're enjoying the process rather than just trying to get to the end, right? Sometimes we go through things and we just move. We just want to just finish. It's like school, right? You guys, some of you are in school right now and you just can't wait till graduation. You're not even worrying about what's happening in the next week or two, right? See, I see somebody smiling there. It's all right. You could send up the emojis. You could put the clap hands. That's okay. But that's real life, right? But it's important to enjoy the process because you will get to the end. There's no doubt. But when you're enjoying the process of things, you're learning. And as you learn, it helps you towards other areas of your life, right? So then another benefit is that we achieve a greater level of success. And in that level of success, it's like, what else is there for us to do? What else how can I keep climbing the ladder and getting better and better? And when you're intentional, because you have a plan. So you're working the plan, and that's how you get to a greater level of success. And everything you do is done with a clear and defined purpose and focus. You always, in this life, we're here for a purpose. And it's very important for us to figure out what our purpose is and walk in that purpose, right? 9 out of 10, I'm going to tell you, that purpose is to serve. But it's all about how you serve, right? Because sometimes we can serve in so many different areas, but that's not where we're supposed to be serving. So we're kind of like being busybodies, but not being productive, right? So we have to stay focused. Okay, so intentional behavior. Being intentional means being in the present moment at all times. Like I had stated, we're here on the Zoom right now, and it's important for us to focus on what is happening. Gather your information, write down what may stand out for you from this presentation, and then use it and carry it towards whatever it is that you're doing, maybe in your personal and your professional life. You want to be able to eliminate unnecessary tasks in your life. So at work, delegate. Okay? At school, look at your syllabus. Figure out how can I plan this according to how I function. Because, when the professor gives you the professor's giving you the syllabus based on how the professor functions, right? So sometimes we're going to have to figure out that syllabus to make it work for us in our way. So if that means you have to put it on a calendar, if you have to write down sections and sections, if you have to even put it in your phone and set alerts, you have to figure it out. You have to do what works for you. That's intentional living. We don't work based off of what worked for other people. It's based on what worked for us. And also in getting to the goal, right? And then when you're delegating, well, let me just go back to goal. When you work towards the goal, it has to be simple. It has to be measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So for those of you who are going into the field, if you're not already in the field, you're going to learn that you have to develop goals for your clients, because that's a way to help your clients feel empowered and feel as though that they're making progress in their life. So those goals have to be timely. They have to be simple that they can achieve them. And it's the same for you. As you practice self-care and proper nutrition, set goals in your personal life and your professional life that's easy for you to achieve and attain them, right? And in doing so, one of the things that's important, and this is also important in personal and professional life, is self-assessment, self-awareness, self-evaluation. Sometimes we have to look on the inside of ourselves to realize that, you know what, there's something that's not right with me. I may need to change this about myself. And that's okay, because that's how you get better for yourself. And the better you are for yourself, it's the better you are for your clients, for your colleagues, and for those people who you interact with on a day-to-day basis, friends and family. So again, challenge dead space in your life. Okay? We all have a lot of dead spaces in our life. And what that means is, what does it take for us to improve those dead spaces in our life? If you know that you have a problem procrastinating, and you know that you want to try to lose weight, but you just keep saying, you know what, yeah, I'm going to lose these 50 pounds. And I stay on weight because I have an issue with weight, right? And I've been working this weight thing forever. Now it's a fitness, is a lifestyle for me, which I got from a trainer. But you have to eliminate the dead space. And that means that negative self-talk. You know, I just can't do it. I can't get over this. This is bothering me. And oftentimes a lot of that stuff is rooted in trauma. It's rooted in past experiences. It's rooted in just, maybe even a bit of control, right? Because some of us are control freaks, but we won't admit it. We want to make sure that everything works out the way how we want it to work out. And unfortunately, if you want to live an intentional life and be productive, you have to let go of some of that power within that control aspects. Things you give them to other people to work on. And then you look at what frustrates you in your life when you're living intentional. What frustrates me in my life? Because I will touch upon, I had another speaking engagement Saturday, and I will touch upon an area which resonated a lot, was positive value, right? And negative value. So things that frustrates us, negative value, remove it from your life. Do not be tied to certain things that really doesn't bring you any benefit. Let it go. Because sometimes when we hold on to things, and I'm very spiritual, so when you hold on to things, I do believe that it blocks your blessings for other things to come. Because there's no room for that other thing to come in, because you're holding on to this stuff that absolutely does nothing for you. Let it go. Again, when you look at friends, family, colleagues, if they're not pouring into you, go back to self-assessment. Go back to a self-evaluation. How is this person beneficial for me in what I'm doing now? I'm a student. I'm an employee. I'm a wife. I'm this. I'm that. And are these people supporting me in my day-to-day? Or is it now becoming more of a stressful situation? So we have to be intentional in evaluating ourselves from a personal and a professional standpoint. And then we also got to evaluate me, right? Ourselves. Because we're the worst. Sometimes and oftentimes we blame everybody else, but the problem is us. And we're not always willing to accept that for our own fears that, I don't want to feel as though I'm inadequate. But we have to look inside to see what's happening. Why am I so stagnant? Why am I coasting, right? Why am I just not moving forward? Is it because this person didn't help me and I was waiting for them to help me and they did not? No, we don't wait for people to help us. If you want something, go after it. You have the power to go after whatever it is that you want, and you will get it. But sometimes we look into ourselves and we sabotage our success because we don't feel equipped. But when you're living an intentional life also requires that you plan, right? You pay attention to the things that you do. And those things, if they are not in alignment to your goal, to where you want to be, then there's no need to do them. Sometimes when you're talking about self-care, we tend to put ourselves last for the betterment of other people, just to hold on to that relationship, and also just for that person not to be upset with us. And that is not always the case. That's the narrative that we replay in our head. That's what we tell ourselves all the time is, let me just do this because I don't want her to be mad at me. They may not even be mad at you. And like I always say, sometimes saying a no will open up a yes for someone else and also for you, because by saying no, for instance, if I had told Professor Razor, I can't really do the Zoom today at 12 o'clock. Somebody else could have called me and said, oh, Roxanne, I have a Zoom for you to do at 12 o'clock. And I said, oh, wow, perfect. Because sometimes it allows another opportunity. So you have to be intentional about the things you want in your life. That's self-care. Don't go around doing everything just because somebody asked you to do it and you know how to do it. No. Your time is precious, right? And that's the other thing that we always want to pay attention to is time. Time is of the essence. When you're a human service professional, it seems like you don't have any time to do anything. Everything goes so fast because everything is needed yesterday. Your clients need this, your supervisor need that, your children need this, the husband needs, everybody needs you. So in this field, you have to put time aside for yourself. And that means you have to be productive in doing so, because if not, you will become unproductive because you will be doing everything in piecemeal. Oh, I did a little bit of this, I did a little bit of that. I can't find this. I don't know where I put this. Oh my God, it's just going crazy. It's just too much. And then you start getting anxious. You start getting worried because you can't find certain things. So you have to put things in order. You have to plan. You have to prepare. Now, the other thing is when you look at the personal aspects of your body, you have to put foods that help your body, right? Because when we look at foods can be a medicine or it could be a poison. So you want to be very intentional about your diet, your eating habits. You don't have to be strict. You don't have to be too rigid. And again, everything in moderation, but be mindful. Be intentional about what your goal is when it comes to your eating habits, right? Because that also will affect your mood. That will affect your energy level and how you do things. So if you're eating a lot of, say for instance, foods that high in caffeine, like you're drinking a lot of coffee, you're going to have to keep maintaining that coffee throughout the day because you're going to crash after a certain time. Caffeine, it robs you, and then it also makes your skin look dark and dried up. So you want to be mindful about those things because not only does it affect you internally, mentally, it also affects your physical appearance. So, we want to glow. So, all right. So physical activity, again, always get moving. Like right now we're sitting down. Y'all should be standing up, sitting down, standing up a little bit because You just have to keep moving. Set an alert on your phone. 30 seconds, 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes, I got to get up. Yes. Because what happens is, I'm going back to the weight now. You get all this fat deposits on the back of your legs. All right. And then we call it cellulite, right? And it's not attractive. But that means that we're losing the muscle tone in our legs from sitting for so long. So we want to get up and walk. Even if we walk up the stairs, down the stairs for a little bit, stretch our arms, do a little bit of something. Because that is important to your heart rate as well. You want to keep the heart going. Personal relationship, positive and negative value. We just talked on that. If you're in a relationship, assess that relationship. And is this relationship adding a positive value? When I leave this room, do I feel like I can conquer anything? Do I feel supported? Do I feel loved? Do I feel like I'm being nourished? Do I feel like I'm being full and poured into? Those are the things that you want when you have relationships. If a relationship is sucking you dry and you feel like you're giving and you're giving and you're giving, but you're not receiving, you need to have a self-evaluation. You need to evaluate yourself, because you have the power and the control to make choices. We cannot change people, because people will do what they want to do. We could only change ourselves. So in changing ourselves, we get to change our choices. We get to make a different choice, and we get to say, no, I'm sorry, I don't like how this is working out. It makes me feel a certain way, right? And that's living intentional, because you have to put yourself as a priority, especially when it comes to your personal life. And then you're going to communicate with that person. And when you're communicating, it has to be very clear, right? And you have to set and lay down the expectations when you're in any sort of relationship, even a professional relationship. You go to a job maybe for the first time, or you go on an interview, you want to know about the position, right? You're not just there to get the job. You're there to also inquire, certain things about the job, so that you know that this is something that you can manage and it fits within your focus. We also want to provide constructive feedback when we're working and with other people, right? Because the thing is, it's like, have a mindset of we work together, rather than, if you're a supervisor, rather than, oh, this person works for me, they have to do what I say. When we're more cordial and respectful, the people who work with us are happier, they get more done for you, and they respect you. So, and that's part of self-care. Self-care is really, and intentional living is really just being your best self. And by being your best self, you're going to move in a perspective of love, rather than always a negative. So you see things more from a positive perspective than from the negative. If someone is not doing their job the way how you would expect them to do it, have a conversation. That person may be having some problems, and as human service professionals, a lot of us, we come to this field, but we also have a lot of problems ourselves. And it's important that, as colleagues, we can say, are you okay? You don't look too good today. If there's anything I could do to help you, my door's open. I'm here. I'm available to you. Don't hesitate to call. So while we could do that for our clients, we should also do that for our friends, colleagues, family, and then also for ourselves, going back to the self-assessment, right? Am I really my best self today? Am I able to go in and do this kind of work that I have to do? Because sometimes we may need to just take a mental health day. Because if we're stressed and overwhelmed and worried, we're no good for the people who we're providing a service for. Let's see. Again, focusing on the love, appreciate more and practice gratitude. In this field, when you come into the human service profession, it's a service that you provide because you really love what you do. You really love to help people. because as people can see, there's really no money in this field, but you can make money. But oftentimes you're making money because you're doing the work that you love. If you come here with the goal and the mindset, oh, I want to make $100,000 a year, whatever the case might be, you might make the $100,000 a year, but you may be frustrated doing it because it may not be the type of work that you want to do. That's why, again, intentional living is important. Everything now, structure, routine, results focus, priority. That's your life, personal and professional. Play up on your strength and don't be afraid to do anything, even if you're afraid. We all have to start somewhere. So whenever you're looking at just self-care, proper nutrition, you got to begin at some point. And we're not going to always get it right the first time, right? But it requires practice and consistency. The more you do something, the better you get. And always remember, there's no one perfect. We don't have any perfect persons in this society, okay? We just have people who've made progress. And that's the goal, to continue to make progress. When you work with your clients, the goal is for them to make progress, not for them to be perfect. So unintentional behaviors, you get easily distracted, you lack focus, you feel stuck, you waste a lot of time on non-important behaviors, and you say yes too often. When you are not intentionally living, you're just going whichever way the wind blows. Because you're just making yourself available to everything and anyone without really thinking and being conscious about your decisions. And sometimes that's because, we either want to please somebody, we want someone to like us, we don't want anybody to be upset with us. Some people feel that it's because they're just a genuinely nice person. It has nothing to do with it. We all can be nice people, but we have to get to a point where we understand limits and boundaries. So before I end, I'm going to give you guys a few self-care tips, which would mean create a morning and evening routine, right? You got to have something that's structured for you on a day-to-day basis. Every morning you get up, some folks we pray, we meditate, but make sure you do it consistently at the same time every morning. Maybe at least 5 days a week, if not 5 to 7 days. Go to bed at the same time every night because your rest is important. A lot of people feel that they get 4 or 5 hours of sleep and that's enough. It's really not enough. Your body your body speaks to you. And when your body is tired, listen, drink a lot of water because the body is made up of so much water that we can't drink enough in one day. So have at least, I always tell people, the recommended amount of water to have on a day-to-day basis is half your body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should be drinking 100 ounces of water. It's almost, not that it's impossible, but the goal is to get as close to the 100 ounces as possible if you don't get there. Include daily affirmations. Remember, the mind is very sensitive. And whatever you tell yourself, the mind will begin to believe it. So if you tell yourself, I'm gorgeous, I'm just fabulous, it doesn't matter. As long as it's positive, you tell yourself this every morning. Look in the mirror and say, oh God, I'm beautiful. It doesn't matter. It helps your brain to remember and for you to feel good about who you are. Because if you don't compliment yourself, if you're not your own best cheerleader and you're waiting for somebody else to do it, it may never happen and you'll be disappointed. So do the things that you expect from other people, do them yourself. Include physical activity, everything in moderation, and be mindful again about the foods you eat and the thoughts that are in your head. And I always tell human service professionals, seek therapy. It's an unbiased perspective and you're able to get your feelings out and process whatever it is that may be happening in your life without somebody judging you or without people, spreading your business. So on that end, what I would say is Therapy is a wonderful thing because you can get things off your chest. Speak to someone, find a therapist. And we have resources here. My company, Passion of Purpose, as well as psychologytoday.com and therapyforblackgirls.com, where you can find therapists of all types. So I thank you again for allowing me to present, and I hope that I was able to provide some, additional information or just remind you of certain things that you may have not heard in a while. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was great.